Hey everybody, welcome to the Straight Line Podcast. As always, my name is Jeremy Martins, and today we've got a few topics to discuss with you guys. The final road races for the road season of 2023, December track racing festival, if you want to call it that, and then the upcoming races in January and what to expect, as well as some of the teams who we expect to be protagonists for the 2024 season. But yeah, let's kick off with the 94.7. That race was a few Sundays ago. Sorry, I haven't been a bit slack on the podcast the last little bit. But the men's race was taken out by Mark Pritson, and the women's race was taken out by Carla Oberholzer. Mark Pritson, I'm not too sure if many of you guys would have known this, but 8 to 9 weeks before the event, he got back to South Africa, finished up with his stint with EF Education in Girona, came back home, had an operation to remove a pin in his collarbone / shoulder area, and then took the opportunity to take time off the bike. Was just on about 4 weeks, and then 4 weeks out from the event, he really started ramping up his training between him and his coach, Mark van der Merwe. They got the timing right on the day, and yeah, Mark won the race. From my opinion, I think he was pretty much unbeatable on that day. When you got a guy like Kent Main, one of the strongest, toughest guys in South African cycling, laying it out the way that he did up Hyde Park, and you can't shake a guy like Mark, yeah, it's always going to be difficult for a guy like Kent to beat Mark in a sprint. And Mark is not slow at all. He proved last year and showed last year. I think he won the Cape Town Cycle Tour, he won Amashova, second on A4.7 in a whole rack of results he also racked up along the way. He is a fast finisher. You're not going to just beat him easily. So yeah, well done to Mark and Team Honeycomb for getting it right on the day. Kent, maybe next year we can try a different approach to get the result that you're looking for. And then in the ladies race, Carla Oberholzer from Santa City Cycle Nation, she just woman-handled everybody else on the day. When she put the pressure on the climbs, between Hyde Park and Jan Smuts, no one could go with her. Well, the only one who could remotely go with her was her own teammate, Joanne van der Winkel. But, when Carla started putting the pressure on more, Joe couldn't go with her. Yeah, complete show of dominance, and well done to Carla and the team. You guys did a fantastic job. Then the weekend after that was everybody down to Swellendam in the Cape. In Cape Town, there are two big races, Cape Town Cycle Tour and the Double Century. Now, over the years, I'm not sure which one is bigger for the Cape Town riders. I know for the Double Century, the guys get the teams together. There's a lot of prep work that goes into it, and it's a very big thing for them. But this year, Team DMS, team up here in Johannesburg, they went down, they took the win in that, and it was, I think, a cool win for them, as it was the last race for the team as of this year, 2023. Team DMS and Tufo BMC are no longer going to be around, so I think it was nice for the team to give Marcelo a farewell, and I thank you very much for taking the win down in that event. Now, enough for the road stuff for this year, on to track racing. Now, if you are a track rider or you're involved in track cycling in South Africa, you will know that December is track racing season. Last weekend up here in Johannesburg, we had the Johannesburg Grand Prix on Saturday and the Johannesburg Omnium on Sunday. If I have a look here, this coming Friday or tomorrow, Friday the 15th, is the Eddie Coulson Grand Prix in Paarl at the Forest Street Stadium. And then Saturday the 16th is the Western Cape Grand Prix at the Bellville Velodrome. And then on the 26th of November, Boxing Day, it's the annual Boxing Day Cycling Classic or Cycling Challenge. It is, speaking of correction, but I think the longest standing one-day track race in the world. So that's a very cool event, and if you are in the area, I strongly suggest going to watch the event, take it all in. It's an experience that you're not going to get anywhere else. The highlights of that race on that day is the Invitational 25 mile, 40 kilometers around the track. Yeah, we've had some of South Africa's best cyclists in history win that race. And yeah, I know the guys, the track riders and a lot of the road riders, it's definitely a highlight of the year to go and attend that race and hopefully win that race. But yeah, just to talk about what happened up here in Johannesburg on the weekend. On Saturday was the Johannesburg Grand Prix. That is typically a more sprintier type of day. So all the riders will run 200 meter qualifiers and then pair off to the various disciplines. On the elite men's side, Vickers Myburg ran a time of 10.7 for the 200. Then Matthew Lester ran an 11.29 and Josh Wenzel ran an 11.68. Those were pretty quick times on the day. But in the final of the match sprint, Matthew Lester, who qualified a bit slower than Vickers Myburg, he actually ended up beating him. Went down to the best of three, and Matthew on the day seemed to have what it takes. So that just goes to show a qualifying time, just because you can run a super quick qualifying time, doesn't necessarily mean that you are going to win a match sprint against another rider. Matthew Lester, following in the Lester legacy, is becoming a skilled bike rider in the craft of bike racing. And on the day, he had the upper leg on Vickers Myburg, and he ended up taking the win. Josh Wenzel, junior rider, he ended up taking third overall. And then we go on to the ladies. This was quite cool for me. Ainsley de Beer took the win on that. Rode de Vet came second, and Elisa Giancino took third in the ladies sprint competition. The reason I say this is cool for me, because all three of those ladies belong to the Bike Craft Performance Coaching Club. So from all of us at the club, I say well done, ladies. You're making us proud. Good job. Then we go on, the following day was the Johannesburg Omnium. Now, living up here in the heartfelt, summertime is fantastic. We have sunshine, nice warm weather, but we also have rain and storms. And unfortunately, on the day of the Johannesburg Omnium, we were affected by the rain. We had a bit of a delayed start because it was wet the night before and a little bit of drizzle around, but during the course of the morning, we got through 3 of the 4 events in the Omnium. But then, unfortunately, after lunchtime, the rain pulled in. We tried to let it go as long as possible to try and give a chance for the track to dry, but it would rain, it would stop, it would rain, it would stop. So eventually we had to make the call to call the race and say we were not going to complete it due to weather. So the final podium position, or the final placings, were decided after your final placing, after the elimination race. So in that, first place went to Gustav Roller, recently upgraded from under 17 to junior. Second place was Joshua Dyke, and third place was Jose Kleinsmith. Fantastic result for Gustav, young rider. Like I said earlier, just recently ranked up into the junior category. I know next year he's got a contract to go out for a team in Belgium. For those who don't know him already, just remember this name, Gustav Roller. I think in the coming years we're going to hear a lot more from him. Rider with a lot of ability, a lot of talent, and I think he's definitely going to go far. Then in the ladies category, that was again the same applied with them. They could only get through 3 of the 4 events, and after the third event, Sonara Grove was leading the competition. Second behind her was Danielle van Niekerk, and third place was Ainsley de Beer. Look, from what I saw on the side, I think Sonara was the best rider on the day, and I think if the race had gone through the points race, I don't think she would have had much trouble with that. I think she probably would have won anyway, irrespective of what the weather played out. All right, now let's go on to January 2024. Now, up here in Johannesburg, the first big race on the calendar is Gauteng Time Trial and Road Championships. That is going to be over the weekend of the 20th to the 24th. Route is out in the south of Johannesburg. The race will start and finish at Allow Ridge High School, I think it is. Make its way along the side roads to Walkerville and then come back. If my memory serves me correctly, the lap is about 14k. From an elevation point of view, not the most difficult or challenging race you'll do in your life, but what always makes the south challenging is the fact that the wind will blow. And also depending on the time of the day that you start, it can get quite hot out there. So biggest factors I'm thinking you need to look out for is going to be the heat and the wind. If you live in Johannesburg, the wind always blows in the south. Then the weekend after that, you're looking at the first of the mass participation races. You're looking at the fast one. The race will start and finish at the Midvaal Raceway, head its way out towards the Vaal Dam, and then come back towards Daleside area. Typically not the most challenging race. Pretty lumpy out in the south, not too difficult. It's relatively flattish, but if the wind does blow out there like it can be a very challenging race. But then, the thing that I'm looking forward to, the weekend, or the opening week of February, the 1st to the 4th of February, looking at South African time trial, road race, and criterium championships. Now, unfortunately, there's not much clarity on the exact route profile yet. Cycling South Africa has released a few snippets saying that they're looking to include the circus out in Daleside. There's also talk of Suikerbosrand Nature Reserve. Personally, from my side, I don't know how logistically you can include a race into there. But yeah, hopefully the people at Cycling South Africa can get things sorted. From what I read on the press releases, the 8th of January is when they're hoping to have final clarity. But yeah, the 8th of January, that leaves us with 3 weeks. 3 weeks to the premier road race in South Africa to get final route confirmation. I hope they can get that sorted a little bit before so riders can plan. But what we do know is that it is in the south of Johannesburg. So at least we have a positive on that. Now let's talk about teams in 2024. At the 94.7 Expo, Brandon Larson and I, we had a live feed on Facebook there. We discussed some of the teams that are in, teams that are out, riders to look out for. But I just want to touch bases on that. Team Honeycomb, they will be around next year. They're going to shift focus a little bit next year, and their primary objective is going to be the mountain bike and gravel bike races. They will do the road races when it suits their racing schedule. So expect to see them at the big races. They've recently signed Mark Pritson. He's come back from EF Education. And then an interesting rider for me is Johan Trotsky. It's quite a versatile rider. He's proved that he can hold his own in the mountain bike races. And from what I've seen, definitely a fast finisher in the bunch race between Mark and Johan. I think they'll definitely be a protagonist when it comes to the big races come down to bunch sprints. Next up we have here Team TEG. From my opinion, I think this will probably be the strongest team of the local racing circuit next year. They've re-signed, or they've kept Blaine Kick, a fast finisher. They've brought across Emil van Niekerk. Had a couple of good performances and good results towards the back end of this year. And I think, given the nature of the races up here in Johannesburg or in South Africa in general, a large majority of the races come down to bunch sprints or small bunch sprints. And if you can have Blaine and Emil going for that, those two are going to be quite a formidable team in the bunch sprints. And you got a guy like Brandon Downs. When it comes to the Tour de Cap and the harder stage races, he's definitely going to be up in there. So my call is Team TEG is probably going to be the best local team for 2020-24. Next up, ACDC Luso. They've been a consistent team over the years. They've got a couple of good riders next year. Also expect them to be there and thereabouts. A couple of good riders there. And then another team is Team Aluwani, a team of Reinhard Butler, Nolan Hoffman. Again, also a team of fast finishers. Same sort of thing applies to them as what I said about TEG. A large majority of the races up here in Johannesburg finish up in bunch sprints or small group sprints. If you're a guy like Reinhard and Nolan in your stable, they're going to definitely pull results somewhere along the line. And then talking to some of the riders that have fallen victim to the closing up of Team Tufo BMC and Team DMS. Between those riders, there is going to be a combination team that is going to be put together. From what I understand, there's going to be press releases and information coming out in the next couple of days. So yeah, keep the eyes out and look out on the socials, because there is something happening on them, which is good, because there's a lot of good riders between the Tufo BMC and the DMS team that would have essentially got lost in the system, and yeah, they're kind of getting something together. So I look forward to see who and where we are going with that. And then from my side, if there are clubs or teams that I haven't mentioned that Brendan and I didn't mention at the Cycle Nation, at the 93.7 Expo, and what I mentioned today, please can contact with me. I'm going to be doing team profiles next year, so we can raise a little bit of profile awareness of the teams and the clubs that are out there. So if you have a racing club or racing team and I haven't mentioned it yet, please just get hold of me or drop a comment below or contact me directly, and let's see if we can put something together and profile your team and get it out there. Right, before I close, just something cool that I've started recently. Grass track racing. Now, a lot of you guys have known I've always gone about it. I'm very pro road and track cycling. As it stands now, the road and the track side, especially on the schools, is poor. The numbers aren't great. I think the level isn't where it should be. So this year I went to the Cycle Lab Schools mountain bike series, and I was blown away by the amount of kids that are on bicycles there, racing and doing great things. So I thought, after I had a discussion with Jean Spies a few weeks ago, we were talking about track cycling and the current state of it in South Africa. He said to me that in England and in America, grass track racing is a very big thing. So I thought, well, let's see if we can start incorporating grass track racing and bringing a couple of kids across from the mountain bike stuff. From the parents' side, there's not an outlay to go buy a new bike and go to new things. Bring your mountain bike, go to a measured out circuit, a measured out track. I've got a lacquer one up here in Benoni, and start structuring training sessions, start a racing series going. I think we could be onto something good here. And then ideally from my side, what I like to do is show these kids that are currently on mountain bikes, that are in the mountain bike series, that there are other avenues. It's not all just XCM and XCO. There are other avenues, grass track racing, velodrome track racing. That's something I'm going to start being a little bit more proactive with in the future, and hopefully we can, start something that's never been done before in South Africa, get a grass track racing series going, and introduce kids to other formats. It's not all XCO and XCM. There is tracks available. There are track bikes out there. Let's see if we can build something. And also, Eastside Crits. 2023 has been fantastic. We've had a fantastic venue at Lords View National Park in Midrand. The support's been fantastic, and I say thank you to all the riders that's supporting this initiative. 2024, we are going to carry on. There will be races. For now, we're going to be based predominantly at Lords View Industrial Park. I'm looking at another venue, but going forward, we will release this information. So, first event is going to be in February. Final dates will be released in the coming weeks, so keep that up. So we are planning for at least one event a month, possibly a bit more. But for now, Eastside Crits is definitely happening. We're still going in the year 2024, and again, thank you for all of your support. But I will be in touch with you guys within the next week or two, when teams start being announced. Like I said, I want to profile teams and create a bit of awareness out there. But anyway, catch you guys later. Thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers. Bye.